working on the duplex a little bit more here in the recent month or so, maybe 2 months. We took a bit of a break. We've been doing a lot of traveling and just enjoying life, and every once in a while we get down there and do a little this and that, but anyhow, it's been just a nice journey doing other little vacations. I think you saw in one of our previous videos, we went to Switzerland and France, and we took a little trip up to the Boundary Waters canoe area, and I discovered a whole new thing up there. Well, that's something I want to do that every year. And we just got back from a trip to Arizona, and just having a good time. But the duplex isn't going to build itself, so we had to get kind of re-engaged. But we did last summer, did a lot of painting and fixing the woodwork on the outside of the building. But once it got cold, we had to move inside the building, and now we're doing wiring and plumbing and drywall and some demolition and that sort of thing. So we'll get you some updates in this video. And so right now you're just kind of seeing the riverfront in Hannibal. And this is one of the reasons I moved to Hannibal. It's just a beautiful place where you can launch a kayak and go for a paddle up the Mississippi River and enjoy the eagles and the river boats and barges and all the culture that's attached to the river community. And this morning was just beautiful. I took my Onewheel and using my cell phone, was able to get some nice footage of the sunrise. It was a little bit cold. We're just getting out of the winter season. It's February 25th as I recorded this video. And it was a bit cold, but it was a very, very beautiful morning here in Hannibal, Missouri. If you hang on to the end, I'm going to go ahead and dump a video which kind of gives a tour of Hannibal, and I'm going to put that at the end of the video so you guys can enjoy that as well. But this is kind of a glimpse of what it looks like in the early morning. There's nobody on the streets, nobody around, and you're just able to enjoy the town all to yourself. If you look up to the left of the video there, you can see the lighthouse. Once I pan the camera over again, that's kind of an iconic kind of landmark for Hannibal. There it is, up at the top of the hill. And anyhow, enjoy the video, and we will get into the update on the duplex, and we'll be able to show you what's going on with the construction at this point. And of course, we have a long ways to go, but we have come a long ways as well. And so anyhow, enjoy. So we've made some pretty good progress so far on the building, and it's coming along. We until it started getting cold, we were doing work outside, repairing the woodwork and painting, and kind of bottoming out on our color combinations and that sort of thing. So we are now, since it's winter in Missouri, we're focusing on the inside of the building. So come on in. As we move through the project, you can see all of the plaster that's being removed. We have we haul it out by the bucket, and that way we can bring it to the trailer and put it on the trailer in these buckets, and then it's easier to dump when we go to the dump, because I don't rent any dump trailers to save some money. I use my own trailer and just fill it up. It's a tandem axle car carrying trailer, which is now a plaster carrying trailer. So inside the building, as you can see, there's still a lot of plaster that's been removed and a lot of work to be done. I start on the second floor and I move my way down so I can run the services through the walls. If I need to open up a wall to get a wire or a pipe or anything like that through the wall, I go ahead and do that so I can run it to the second floor. If I were to start on the first floor, of course, the services would not be able to go through the walls anymore. So come on through. These pocket doors that are concealed behind the walls are going to be restored. We found out on the other side of the building that they're actually functional and in good shape. All the tracks are in good shape. We're hoping for that on this side as well, but you know, if the tracks need some maintenance, we'll take care of those as we move through this portion of the build. The pocket doors are a pretty big part of this project for us. It's just a nice architectural feature. So we're just going to kind of blaze through here. This is just another room that needs to be done. What I'll do is remove the lath board, wire it, and then just run plywood up against the walls. Down here you can see
drywall.
Drywall up against the walls. As you can see, the plumbing, I've replaced all of the cast iron plumbing. This is the bathtub upstairs, which I'll show you in just a minute. This is the toilet, which is going to be installed upstairs. The 4-inch line going down to the basement, along with the hot and cold water that's going to be to the service in the basement. This runs across for hot and cold water to the vanity, and that's where the sink will be for this bathroom that's above the kitchen. If you see in the wall here, if Jackie, you want to step back and get a picture of this, this is an example of how wiring goes from the second floor to the first floor through the walls from the second floor on down. And then once I get to the first floor, I can start doing all my plugs down here and running additional wiring. We'll go up to the second floor now. Up here we have a work in progress. And as you can see, the drywall is taking shape. It actually feels like a building. You know, this is essentially a new build. We have all of the wiring and plugs in place. We have drywall in place, ceilings lifted. We have a drywall lift that I use for that. And these circuits have already been tested, good to go. There used to be a door here, which I patched. That's a piece of drywall having to blend in with the existing plaster. And here you can see the old lath board. And there's so many varieties of materials that we have to work with these old buildings. This is brick transitioning to 2x4 construction with lath board. I'll figure out a way to remedy this. I'll probably use liquid nails and glue a piece of drywall to the brick and then ferret in with another piece of drywall, which will be ferreted in, just like I did with that door, to the existing plaster. So I'll end up with a rectangular piece of drywall filling this section. Then I'll, of course, have to patch this, just like I did here. As you can see, the drywall, you know, the plaster, the drywall mud, cracks and shrinks as you go. Even though I used some fiber tape up underneath this to keep it kind of intact and a structural piece, it still cracks when you do a thick patch like I did here. This used to look like, you know, something like this, you know, where you could see the lath board underneath. And this is after a thick coat with some drywall mesh tape, the fiberglass variety of that, underneath, you know, several strips, and then I'll put another layer of drywall tape over the top, fair it in, and you won't be able to tell it's there. In here we have the bathroom. This used to go in a hallway, and there was a door to the right that led into the bathroom. But I removed that wall that went between those two windows, and then you had this doorway going through. And we made the bathroom larger. There's going to be a vanity on this end. There's going to be a shelf unit over here. The tub was rotated around to this wall. I built an additional wall so we could have an enclosure for the bathtub. And we got a nice big soaker tub, which you can't see under all my tools, and I put a board on top so we could use that as a platform. But that's a really nice soaker tub. And there used to be a vent that came up right there where the tub was, and because we moved the tub over, we had to move the vent over here. And there's a space in the wall that we can run it to the basement for all the duct work. You have to pre-plan those things, keep the first floor kind of open for changes, and keep things going in that direction. Here's the toilet pipe coming up that you saw down on top of the kitchen, so that we'll have the toilet, tub, and vanity. So it'll be kind of a nice place for the tenants to get ready. Now, one thing that we were really bad at is we didn't show the progress pictures. We're not doing these videos to in hopes of getting any types of following from our subscribers or any of our friends, but we just want to kind of update family and friends on what we have going. It's kind of fun. And if somebody wants to learn a little thing here and there, that's cool too. Now the concrete backer board is installed on top of 3/4 inch plywood that's on the floor that was, kind of, I had to do a lot of kind of patchwork on the floor, and then the plywood, and then the backer board. There's some areas that had the wood flooring, some areas that didn't, some areas that you could actually see the first floor through big, 1 foot by 2 foot gaping holes. So we had to patch all of that. And so here we have also the circuits going in. This will eventually be a GFCI for the vanity. We have a double switch that's for the vanity light, and then the overhead light / exhaust fan, which is on the ceiling. Coming into the front bedrooms here, we actually have wiring coming in. You have to kind of pre-plan, get things rolling. That wire hanging there off the ceiling is going to be a light for the hallway. That's one of these wires, which had to run over that direction. The other wire goes up to a light overhead for this top section. This will be 2 switches, one double switched, so you can turn it on at the bottom of the stairs, turn it off once you get here, and then the other wire and a single switch, which will go to this light up above. We've removed all the transom boards. There was just boards, clogging those up. We're going to eventually put a nice kind of a stained glass in all 3 of the bedroom transoms. So that's going to be really nice. These doors and the door frames will be restored to a certain level. Because it's a rental, we're not going to strip them down completely. We're just going to sand them down, make them smooth, and repaint them along with the door jambs. As you can see, we're starting to chip off the paint. This is, several layers of this building was built 170 years ago. So we really have a lot of different layers on all of these door jambs and things. In here we have another example of how you have to kind of tap into the walls. I removed the lath and plaster, actually plaster and then just a strip of lath to expose the studs and to be able to run the wire around the corner of this room. And there was some walls that really needed to be completely demoed with the plaster, just because this wall had big cracks coming down, and the plaster was actually so detached and so cracky from coming away from the walls that we had to just remove the entire wall of plaster. But I leave the lath board in place, so when you come up to the door jamb, you still have the same level. If I were to remove the lath board and run these right down to the studs, the drywall would then be too far, it wouldn't be thick enough to accommodate the boards on the door jambs, which we're not touching. We're just going to sand them, repaint them, run a bead of caulk and some, drywall mud and so forth to get that all fared in and looking beautiful here. Another point in this room, the reason this wall had to be replaced, the reason it cracked, was when we bought the building, it sank about 4 to 5 inches in the center. Well, when we did all of the jacking down below and got everything back to level, we ended up having to, as we were jacking down there, we heard bang, pop. There was all kinds of noise and stuff going up above. We actually removed the wooden beam that was supporting the building in the center and replaced it with an I-beam. To do that, we had to jack up on both sides, remove the wooden beam, replace it with an I-beam, and then run the vertical supports, get everything welded into place, and then gently lower the building back onto the I-beam. After jacking it a little bit further than what it needs to go so it would settle onto the I-beam and end up about level with everything else. And it ended up being a really good deal. But because they were patching and fixing and so forth throughout the last 100 years, these walls, particularly in this orientation where we ended up jacking the center, cracked and blew apart. Here's the inside of the bay windows that I restored earlier in some of the earlier videos. So you can see the new 2x4s, old 2x4s, some of the shim boards that I'm using to bring everything back to where it should be. And I put all these temporary curtains so you can kind of, it's dusty. So from the outside of the building, it still looks like maybe it's lived in. People won't, they'll be less likely to vandalize if they think there's somebody in here and doing things. So Jackie has been helping this morning quite a bit, doing all the drywall first coat of mud. And until we get HVAC or heating and cooling into this building, we don't want to put the final coat of mud on and final paint and things like that. Because in Missouri and most states around our nation, you have about a 100-degree shift in temperature between summer and winter. What happens is the walls shrink and expand and create cracking, delamination of the paint on the walls, all kinds of problems. When you finally get HVAC, you can do your final coat of mud, get rid of all the little cracks and things that happen because of that temperature variation, and then prime it and paint it. Here Jackie is doing her plaster work, or drywall mud, and she's doing a good job of hitting all the nail holes. And this is the master bedroom closet, which was totally redone. Where she's standing, there was actually a door that led into the adjoining room, and that was all sealed off. So we had to drywall over all that door. So she's doing a good job. surprising how fast these things go with the drywall work once they get going. Here I'm cutting the hole to accommodate a vent that was actually in the wall already. We're going to reuse a lot of the vent work that was installed previously. So we're just kind of popping the hole through and now, why doesn't that fit? So now I'm going to take you for a tour around Hannibal from the building, just to kind of give you an idea of where this place is. So here's the employment center. And the Presbyterian Church. And off in the distance there you can see the Mississippi River. There's the Baptist Church. And the best restaurant in Hannibal is just around the corner. It's called Labina's, which is Hannibal spelled backwards. And right next to that is the city park where they have a farmer's market a couple times a week during the weather. And of course some apartment buildings. And here's City Hall. Barber shop. The street we're going down is called Center Street. And we're coming up on 3rd Street right now. There's Don Bastian's law office. Here because of the traffic. Here's the pawn shop in town. Rags to riches. There's a little antique store, bed and breakfast. If you want a wood-fired pizza, that's a good place to go for dinner. Brick oven. We're crossing Main Street, Hannibal. We'll come back to that in a second. Of course, the Mark Twain Museum. Hannibal History Museum. There's a wall of different people who were born and raised in Hannibal who are famous. I can get across the tracks without breaking myself here. There we go. There's plenty of parking down by the riverfront. Hannibal has a brand new riverfront that they put in a couple of years ago. A really nice addition to the town. give us a nice place to come and take walks, or these benches were all installed. Riverfront went in. They just asked for donations, and they all these memorial benches down the riverfront. Has a plaque on it commemorating different people who have passed away, dedicating the bench to them. But it makes for a nice place to just sit and enjoy the river. There's actually a lot of action on the river. We have barges, we have river boats, we have riverboat tours, there's recreational boats. Here's the Hannibal Harbor. It's a great place to own a boat. I think the slip fees are very reasonable. And you can launch right here to go motor around. And this is where I launch all my kayaks from. It gives me a nice place to enjoy my days. Good morning. Next to the river, which is really cool. Playground for kids. Hannibal is a really neat place for families. If you want to raise children here and enjoy festivals and farmers markets and different things that we have to offer here. They're just developing the trail systems up by Riverview Park, and I tell you, that park up there on the hill, I'll take you there sometime, is absolutely beautiful. It's one of those that you really have to enjoy. It's very similar to Balboa Park in San Diego. Now we're back on Main Street. As you can see, we're back to the Mark Twain Museum. Bars and restaurants throughout Main Street. There's the Hannibal History Museum. And of course the favorite coffee shop in town, there's Java Jive. Really neat place. They do fresh baked pastries, and they'll serve you lunch. Lydia's Cabinet of Curiosities, a little interesting store downtown Main Street. Wine Stop, Dutch Country General Store. Over here we have some art galleries and gift shops, and the old Wolfhound Pub, which is a really neat little place that just opened about a year ago. And of course, Grant's Drugstore and the Mark Twain childhood home. That's where Mark Twain grew up. So we're going to go up the hill now. If I can get through the cobblestone here. There's the boyhood home entrance. The famous fence, if you want to whitewash a fence and have your Mark Twain moment. Huckleberry Finn. And we, of course, have some little attractions here. The Mark Twain Dinette. Plenty of hotels in town. Here's the Best Western. Indoor pool, really neat place to stay. It's a very clean, nice place. It's owned by a friend of mine, Aswin Patel. And right now we're going up Hill Street. We're going to get into the kind of the historic homes now in Hannibal, just off of Main Street. You walk up a block or so, and then you get into these beautiful 150-year-old homes that are throughout Hannibal. And we're in the process now of fixing up this part of town. The city hall that I showed you before, there's a lot of action taking place there. Look at that beauty over there. This guy here. This one's being fixed up by an investor. He's taken hold of several homes. Also friends of mine that I just really enjoy having around. You can see the scaffolding. Everything's kind of taking action here in Hannibal. Another friend, Bob Yap, just purchased this place, the Belvedere School of Historic Preservation. They're going to do classes and actually have students learn about historic preservation and fixing up these old homes. This home was just saved. It was on the teardown list, and once again an investor came in and they're fixing that place up. Beautiful, beautiful historic home. This is owned by an investor. He's kind of taking hold. He's putting a new roof on now. That was in desperate need of a roof, and he is taking charge there and making that thing happen. The owners of this just passed away, unfortunately. It was passed on and sold. Now we're coming down 6th Street. Of course, we're 6 blocks from the river. There's that place that was just restored by a friend. This turned into a bed and breakfast. Then we have the 6th Street Guest House. Just a lot of beautiful homes that are really getting fixed up, and the property values coming up. Ones that I have that I picked up here recently, about the past 8 years. Fruit garden, vegetable garden, and taking us back down the street here, down the hill. This red brick here was restored over the period of about 2 years. It burns completely from the inside. The restoration guy fixed that up. This one was just fixed up. We're just in the process of fixing everything up here in Hannibal, and it's just a really exciting journey to be part of. Here's the Belvedere. That's the Belvedere School of Historic Preservation. Bob Yap runs that. He also bought the lot across the street. It's old. It needed to be torn down. It's redone now as a new build on an old lot. Rumor has it that Mark Twain actually lived in this building for a period of time. Really neat place to be, and really neat to be part of the renovation. There's our building again. That's where I started. And here's the Federal Building. Talk about a steampunk style old building. This is an old Federal Building. Beautiful old structure. Right now we're out on Broadway, which is one of the main drags in Hannibal. A lot of businesses starting to pop up here and kind of revitalize. This area was pretty suppressed, not much going on when I first moved here 8 years ago, but the buildings here as well are starting to really pop. And there's the post office, the police station over there. I'm going to take you back into the residential zone though, because that's just kind of my favorite area. This building here, an old Federal building, was restored by Gordon Harrison. Here's Allison's building. She bought this about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and she's in the process of restoring it. Anyhow, really an exciting time, and I love being part of it. This one is right at the front edge of being restored by one of the friends I mentioned that restored another building there. And of course, back to our duplex